Well, we'll have to wait and find out how well North Korea will carry out the observer role. But now let's get a recap of the week's domestic headlines.
Let's do that with our Yoo Li-an, who joins us.
Good evening. Let's first take a look at a special series by the Joseon-ilbo, which interviewed renowned experts on Northeast Asia. Now, the purpose was to talk about the changing political dynamics in the region, particularly with the United States trying to increase its presence here. Now, you see here Jonathan Pollack, who is a senior fellow at the Brookings Institution that specializes in East Asian international politics. Now, he says the United States is more concerned about South Korea's damaged relationship rather than with South Korea's growing relationship with China. The summit talks between Korea and China earlier this month show that the countries are edging closer together, which Pollack says is good news for the United States as it will add stability to the region. Now, he goes on to say that the deterioration of ties between Korea and Japan is of a greater concern as it poses a serious threat to the U.S., South Korea, Japan trilateral alliance. But while South Korea and Japan are drawing apart, North Korea and Japan are drawing closer. Now, here you see Kent Calder, who is the director of the Edwin O. Reischauer Center for East Asian Studies, and he says the improved ties are only temporary and meant to act as a counterbalance to stronger ties between Seoul and Beijing. Calder says there is a limit to how much closer Tokyo and Pyongyang can get. And as for Japan's larger military role in the region, Calder says that's not much of a concern. Japan's powers are overestimated, he says, as it has a rapidly aging population, which means a lot of government funds will need to be channeled there. Now, moving on over to Jungang-ilbo, the headline here reads, "Any good ideas or brilliant ideas, we will give you 4% of total sales." Now, this is what LG Electronics, Korea's second largest consumer electronics company, says it began doing earlier this week. The idea is pretty much similar to what crowdsourcing websites like the US-based company Quirky do, where they take ideas from people and bring them into the market. Now, here, the paper shows the process. Now, an idea gets proposed, and when it passes through 3 qualification rounds, which include consumer testing and evaluations by LG Electronics, the idea is finally made into a product. Now, and it's not just the inventor that gets 4% of the sales, but also anyone who took part in the product development. Now, finally, moving on over to Donga-ilbo over here, and the headline here reads, Mobile World Cup. Now, the story shows in numbers how Koreans are shifting away from PCs and TVs and toward mobile phones when viewing major sporting events. The image here compares the percentage of those that watched the Olympics in 2012 and this year's World Cup on televisions, the mobile internet, and on their computers using their internet. Now, while the number of those that watch the major sporting events dropped for TVs and PCs, the percentage of those that use mobile internet actually rose from 18% for the Olympics 2 years ago to nearly 59% for the World Cup this year. Now, that does it for this week's look at some of the eye-catching stories from the local papers.